Da da da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, everybody. Let's give YouTube a couple of minutes, get those notifications out. In the meantime, if you've never popped into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside. Today, I did a little bit of both. I wasn't going to go outside today only because the air is so bad. They actually say Winnipeg, Manitoba, or Manitoba in general, is the most air polluted place in the entire world right now. It is absolutely incredible. I went for a walk. I just went to get a cup of coffee. It only took me maybe, well, I took my time, maybe an hour, hour and a half. I went for a walk and it didn't seem so bad. They're saying that being outside for an hour is like having 4 to 6 cigarettes, one after another. And I didn't feel that, but I know last night I actually went up onto the roof of the building that I lived and you couldn't even see the city. You couldn't see the legislative building. You could hardly see downtown. It was like smog. And actually, I messaged my sister this afternoon to see how she was doing. We're waiting to get her into the hospital. She's going in for a quadruple heart bypass, and she's had it postponed twice. But, we are optimistic that she's going to get in there soon. But I messaged her today and I said, I went up to the roof and I looked out at the city and it was like the city was in the clouds. And that's what it looked like. But then when I got home from my walk and I went online, they were saying that we are the most air polluted place in the world right now. Like we're outbeat seems on the norm is the worst place in the world at any time for air pollution. It's like an index, anything over an index number 10, and we're like at index number 13 to 16 here in Manitoba. I don't know what it is in India, but we surpassed them by a lot. But I didn't feel that when I went for a walk. I actually really enjoyed my walk. I didn't think I would because my feet were kind of sore yesterday after the walk that I went yesterday, but I really enjoyed the walk I went on yesterday. And so I thought, well, let's go at very least go for a walk and get a cup of coffee. And the next thing I know, I'm walking down back alleys and side streets and stuff, taking the long way home, and it was so enjoyable. I so really loved my walk tonight. But when I got home, I looked at the clock and I'm 8 o'clock and I haven't even made dinner and I had pulled out a roast for dinner. And so I fixed it up, I put it in the oven, and then I knew it was going to be a couple of hours, right? So I went right into the lessons. And just one serendipity after another today, and that is the truth. I woke up this morning with a home in mind. I've been entertaining myself for the past couple of weeks by going in and looking at properties. I have this dream that I would like to have a piece of property in Northern Ontario, get myself set up for retirement. I don't know how I get these ideas. I can barely pay my rent, but this is what I do. It makes me happy. You could say just, you know, me talking about it, it makes me happy. But also sometimes if we're not busy physically or mentally, we can drive ourselves a little bit bonkers. So I think the idea that came to me to start looking at properties in the area that I would like to live in, or specifically Northern Ontario or Central Ontario, um, that it's been fun. It's kept me busy. It's given me a lot of ideas in pricing and ideas in renovations or, off grid or unorganized. Unorganized is basically a piece of land that you can just do whatever you want to. If you want to live in a trailer or if you want to build yourself a teepee or something. But I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Cindy, you're 63 years old. Do you really want to live off grid? Do you really want to put that much work in? I'm thinking, well, my retirement, I have to keep busy in that, and it would be fun to design and learn to build in this day of AI learning, right? A few YouTube videos, right? But doing the research and watching those videos that give us ideas and how to go about things. I think it would be absolutely just amazing, super fun to renovate or to build my own retirement home. So I've just been kind of entertaining some of these ideas. And because, over the course of the past few years, some of my ideas in manifestation and abundance and, you know, that promise that I feel for myself that, I've kind of built up a sense of belief, surprisingly, belief in things that seem unreasonable or impossible. And I woke up this morning, to get back to my story. I woke up this morning and there was a certain piece of property that I had come across, I don't know, a week or two ago. And it just was sitting in my mind all morning during coffee. And, I kept thinking about it. And, I understand when things come across my path, when I get these ideas or these serendipities, right? You got to put the action to it right away for the very least to see what it's all about, right? So I had this piece of property in my mind, and because I hearted, right, I had my favorites. I go into this site called MLS, and it's just real estate, and it's on a big grid map, and anything I really really like. And I'm kind of picky. I Over the past couple of weeks, I only favorited about 20 of them, right? uh, I went into my favorites because I was positive that I had put this this site, this piece of property, in my favorites, and I couldn't find it, right? And there are thousands and thousands of property out there, especially in the area that I want, because it is cottage country, right? And there are $1 million homes, and I couldn't even remember what town it was in, or even if it was in a town, or how much it was, or I didn't remember anything except in my mind's eye I saw these two buildings, and the buildings go together. They're being sold together. I'm assuming they're being sold together. I hope that price includes both buildings. But I went in, and it took me about a half an hour, but I just followed the little things that were coming into my mind to figure out how to find it again, because I basically knew within 5-hour drive of all the areas that I wanted to find a piece of property, right? And it was really neat how it came about. It only took me 25 minutes. I even used keywords because there were a couple of keywords that were kind of unique to this property. Like I said, there were two buildings on this property that I assume that are going together. And right, and nothing came. And then just on an off chance, there it was. I'm very surprised I didn't heart this property. I didn't favorite it or anything. I passed on it for a reason. I don't know why. Maybe I was being very particular about how many places I wanted to give myself, because I did have a little bit of a favorites list. And, I did go into it, but I didn't remember whether or not I favored it, though. And I thought it was in my favorites, and yet it wasn't there. So there was that little bit, right? God wants you to work for things, or whoever or whatever wants you to work for right. Things can't always, it came to me easy, but it could have come to me much easier than it was. But I knew I had to put the action as soon as I woke up in the morning, and it was sitting there in my mind, right? And like I said, it only took me a half an hour to, oh, I just got inspired for a topic tonight before I go off the main branch. I'll have to remember that. Um, so I found it, and I went in, and I immediately fell in love with it. Like, I immediately knew this property, it has to be mine. It's only been on the market for less than a month, right? Somebody's going to gobble it up. I'm thinking, no, right? That's my property, right? Because I remember one time, right? One time, after my marriage fell apart, and I started socializing and, right, coming back to life a little bit after my marriage fell apart. I went to a social, which is, they have it in community centers. Usually, couples who are getting married or sports team will put on a big party, and they get liquor licenses, and they sell cheap liquor, and friends and family, right? And they have Chinese auctions, and it's just a really, really good time. It's something very unique to Manitoba. I went to one of these, right? And I went with my sister, and at that time, I think it was her boyfriend, and they were having a Chinese auction. And a Chinese auction is little gift packages that they put together, and then you buy arms of raffle tickets with numbers on it, and you put them in these little paper bags in front of each of the prizes that you want to enter in, and then they draw out of the paper bags, and somebody wins that package. Lots of times there's like spa treatment, or sports equipment, skis, travel packages, and there was this camping package. And I put all my tickets in the camping package. And I said, "What are you doing that for? Like, put some in all of the packages," because there were probably, oh my goodness, at least 10, 15 different prize packages going on. And you walk around all the tables, and there's posters and gift certificates, all kinds of neat things, right? But this camping package, it had gas cards, it had a tent, it had camping chairs, it had lanterns, it had sleeping bags, it had absolutely everything you needed for camping. I just looked at my sister when she says, "How come you're just putting it all in that one?" I says, "Because it's mine. I'm winning it. There's no point in putting my tickets anywhere else." And I was serious. It wasn't like, I wish, I really want this camping package, right? It was, this is mine. I'm winning it. This is my camping package. And I sat down, and they called out all the prizes, and everybody's all excited and everything, and my sister didn't believe me, and I won that camping package. And there must have been, oh, it was a nice package, so there must have been a couple of hundred tickets in that paper bag, and I won it, right? I was super excited, but I knew I was going to win it, right? So I had that feeling this morning. Oh, and to say that camping package actually brought me back to Mother Nature. It brought me back to my love for being in the outdoors, because, during the course of my marriage, I gave up Mother Nature. I gave up the camping because it wasn't a passion of my husband's, right? My husband was in the military and he would say, "Oh, I'm not going camping. I don't want to go camping. I go out in the field all the time for like 2 months and I have to live in a hole that I have to dig in the ground." So he didn't want to go camping. And being the codependent that I was, right? I gave up my love for Mother Nature, this camping package. And I have to say, it took me a while to come out of the breakup of my marriage, and I would have to say it was at least a couple of years before I started really socializing, right? um, uh, yeah, it brought me right back to Mother Nature, and ever since then I have been connecting, and I have been going camping, and I've been going on these trips. And for the past, I would say, half a dozen years, maybe 10 years, I've been going into Ontario. And, my love for the crystals, and the crystals are in Ontario, the love for the mountains and the lakes. And we got lots of lakes here in Manitoba, right? I love Manitoba, but I love Manitoba for the people, right? But I love Ontario for the beautiful landscapes, right? Um, I got back to camping. So when I woke up this morning, hi Eugene, I see you there, dear. Thank you so much for popping into my live. Thank you so much. Uh, but when I woke up this morning and I had, right, the picture of this piece of property in my mind. At that time, I didn't think that's mine. I didn't think any of that. I was kind of thinking of, why is this on my mind? Why am I starting my day with this piece of property in my mind? Because, right, I didn't give it too much thought, but the picture I had in my mind was so clear. It was like photographic, right? So again, I went in and I found it. It only took me about 25 minutes out of all those thousands and thousands of pieces of property, because I wasn't even sure where it was. I just knew it was within 5 hours, because, I wanted to be in an area that was pretty, right? Pretty close to where I love to go camping, right? And I was looking at different areas, but mostly I was looking around the Algonquin area, and it didn't matter which end, north or south, east or west. It didn't matter to me. And I found the property, and I just said, that's mine. This is mine. I don't know how I'm going to do it, and I don't know, like, it's gonna have to be done pretty fast, because, right, it's a pretty amazing property that I'm sure lots of people are gonna want, and the price is awesome on it, and the town is exactly the town that I would just love to retire in. And not only that, because I am a city girl, right? I am. I love Mother Nature, but I always love to come back to the city, right? So I had a small town that I was going to be living in, and then a larger small city 15, 20 minutes away. Not only that, it's next to, within an hour of my favorite, absolute favorite camping spot last year that I went off to. And that wasn't my intent, that was just a bonus in that. And then I thought, well, just by the off chance, how far is it away from my favorite crystal places, right? That I like to go digging for crystals. And they were also within an hour of two. Like, all the places were within an hour of two of my favorite crystal grounds. I was blown away. And I have no idea. And then I thought, oh my goodness, for entrepreneurship, for being able to have retreats, to be able to have get-togethers with like-minded people, because there's got to be others out there who have these kind of experiences like I have, right? It's just, I couldn't have asked for anything better, right? Besides the RV, and there are other things, but this one, like, I knew, like, this place is mine. I don't know how it's going to be done, you guys, but right when it does happen, when this property is mine, I will share it with you, and you guys will be absolutely blown away that somebody who doesn't even have a job, who's struggling to even put a roof over her head, who's trying to figure out how to come up with her bill money this month, right? And not only that, moving, and my sisters, our lives are all kind of upside down, and right, but I trust and I believe. Remember what I said when I first came in today, that you know in the lessons I've gotten to really have a steadfast belief in my important relationships, in the things that I want, the things that I dream of, the entrepreneurship, right? And I'm thinking, how am I ever, right, at 63 years old? Right? I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. I'm looking at retirement now. But if this place is mine, there is no question that I am moving into entrepreneurship. It's absolutely incredible, how belief can really manifest into reality. And it's only because we don't believe, it's only because we second guess, it's because we doubt, right? That we should truly be steadfast in our beliefs. Like, we shouldn't give up. I know sometimes, right? I've been disillusioned because I didn't get there yet. I didn't get this yet. I didn't manifest this yet. In the repetitive of my life, here I am again, right? But this is why we partner with ourselves, right? Because who else is going to cheerlead? Who else is going to stand up for what we believe in, right? In this process, I really, really have come to trust and believe in my lessons, not necessarily have a realization of others' lessons, but understanding that quite often we are interconnected, and having my own experiences in moving with other people, and also sometimes being disillusioned because, again, you don't see things manifesting the way that you want to. But that's what belief is all about, right? That's what faith is. It's trusting in something that you don't understand, that you don't realize in the moment, that you don't understand how it could possibly work out the way that you want. And it's those who do believe, those who do trust, right? And it might not be today, right? It might not have been every year, right? Since I woke up to these ideas. This is my year. Oh my goodness, it's gonna happen. It's happening now. And I did that so many times. And it was like crying wolf, because it would never It would never happen. But I needed that experience of that social that I went to, and that feeling of knowing that camping package that I knew I was going to win. Not only did I want to win it, I knew, I just knew it was mine. And today I had that exact same feeling that that property is going to be mine. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but already in my head, because it does need some work, right? It needs bathrooms, and it needs proper parking spots. It needs a piece of land that's sitting right behind it, right behind it, because it's very small acreage, right? It's very small acreage, but right behind that is a large piece of vacant land. I'm sure it's owned. But if that property is mine, guaranteed that property behind it is going to be mine too. It's going to be mine too. And in my mind today, and I went for a walk, and I'm thinking about renovations. I'm thinking about painting the roof, right? I gave it a name. I gave it a name. I called it the Blue Dragon, right? I called it the Blue Dragon. And I'm painting a huge dragon on the roof. Huge. It's going to take up the entire roof. This dragon. And I was even thinking of the colors of the blue. That's rainbow fish scale, when you have all the colors, the way the light hits it and everything. Oh, I got so excited. You can feel the excitement, right? Because it's mine. And then tomorrow I have, right? If if I have nothing to do, and even if I do, I'm going to make that time to think about the entrepreneurship part of it, right? Working in those, it's not resorts. They're right. It's kind of like I'm going to take people on crystal trips to dig for crystals. I'm going to take them to my favorite provincial parks, and we're going to go camping, and I have space that we can have meetings, and we can have conversations, and I can meet other people making movement, right? It was so neat. It was so incredible. And I really, really, really am looking forward, not to just saying, look at this, I told you so, but to be the evidence for people to say, oh my goodness, she said that was going to be hers, and it was hers, right? And, in my mind, I'm able to keep myself busy rather than, right, second guessing myself, or being disillusioned in the things that are not manifesting for me in the moment, or thinking about the issues and the problems in the repeat of the situation that I'm in, and beat myself up, right? Well, I wouldn't beat myself up, because, I believe, I think that I trust, I think that I understand, right? Not necessarily where everything is going, but I understand that idea of really believing in the process, and that is the truth, right? And it has to be the evidence. It's always been my intent to be the evidence for others, but the evidence in what? It was the mindset, but now it's gone so far beyond that, right? And I am anxious, and I'm excited to see who else, right? believes in something that just seemed to me to be taking so long. Like I said, every year, this is my year. This is going to be, I can't imagine. Like even last year, that I thought that way in comparison to where I'm at right now in my understandings right now. It's pretty incredible. I wanted to share that only because, right, we're going to make a nice clip somewheres down the road when I give you my property tour. Right? And there's probably more to it that I don't understand, right? But, I'm going to ride those waves and I'm going to believe more and trust more. And, right? And that faith will be such a grounding point for me in the evidence, not just for others this time, but that evidence for myself. I woke up, I saw it, and right, I really did have to search for it because I didn't even favorite it. It was something that I actually had passed on when I was looking at properties, but it was on my mind. And it wasn't on my mind from something that I had seen yesterday. It was something I'd seen a week or a week and a half ago at least, and it was just sitting there. It was just sitting there like a picture, and right, my curiosity, and that's what it is. That's why these things are set in place, because we're human and we get curious about things, right? We get focused and hyper vigilant on these things. And right, we're like pit bulls with a piece of raw meat in our mouth, and we don't let go, right? Until we figure it out, till we've kind of read into it, until we've seen that evidence for ourselves. And I know that feeling. That place is mine. I have no idea. But that place is mine, right? And yeah, pretty neat, pretty exciting, and I'm looking forward to showing it to everybody. Okay, before we grab a card, I had no idea what we were going to talk about tonight. I didn't put the title in it or anything because I thought maybe we'd just pull a card because, it has been a busy day of what I thought was going to be nothing, but it was full. And yeah, it's really it's fun. It's fun. If it doesn't ever manifest, it's not like I'm gonna lose faith, right? Because it'll just be something bigger and better, right? And yeah, I look forward to see who's coming along for that ride with me too, right? Because there have been characters in my life along the way, right? Okay. I also wanted to kind of mention, isn't it pretty incredible, right? Donald Trump, Mr. President, I can say that, Mr. President, how he's kind of moving in this world, right? And it's really neat because he was made out to be the bad guy, and I always knew from the start, another one of those knowings, that he was a catalyst and there was no reason to say anything positive about him or negative about him, or to even try to understand why he was put in place or where he was even going to go and what his purpose was going to be, right? And then, right, you see all this stuff going on, and it's true, he is a catalyst. And, as much as I got my marching orders, right, as much as you might have your marching orders, he had his marching orders too. And I would like to think that I could give him just as much respect in what he's manifested in his life, and not only in his life, but what he could bring into the table as the evidence for others, as any of us, right? Any others, right? Because lots. There are lots. And I think he did a good thing today, right? I think, a lot of what we've been grumbling about is something maybe we're going to feel a little bit bad, right? Because we might have given him a hard time. Or then again, he might do all this amazing stuff. He might even get that uh, Nobel Peace Prize that these presidents have suggested, but maybe not. Maybe he'll just go back to being a jerk. But if that's the case, it doesn't erase any of the good that he has brought to the table, right? We were all scared. We were, right? Even the ones who voted him in, even the ones who entrusted their vote to him kind of turned their backs on him in the end, didn't they? Right? Who's to say? We're just going to wait and watch. And I think, the very least, we can keep an open mind and an open heart that maybe he did get his marching orders. And in the end, everything is going to work out just the way he saw it, right? Because he knew it. He knew it, right? Okay, you guys. Let's pick a card. We'll just go into it for a couple of minutes and then I'm just going to call it a night. It's Lionsgate tonight, but not just tonight. It's going to go on, right, for a few days, right? You can see that there's a lot going on in the world, probably a lot going on in each one of our lives. I know even in my own family's life, there's lots going on, but it's in riding those waves and not losing faith, right? Believing and trusting that at the very least, in the end, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out. And whether that's good or bad, I suspect it's a little bit of both. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. But it is what it is, isn't it? Okay, you guys, let's just pick a card, go into the card for a couple of minutes, and we'll see where this goes. Okay, let's just take the bottom card today. We got the word truth, right? Truth. When you have no idea, when you're riding the waves, when you're flying by the seat of your pants, when you're trying to be the evidence and the example to others. And, you know, we go back to what I was just saying about President Trump, right? That, a lot of people turn their backs on him. In the beginning, they trusted him. They felt that he was the truth. They felt that he was the way. And then, in those jerky, surprising, creative, that catalytic movement that he was making and stirring the pot and making crazy moves, right? Right. The truth was right in front of everybody. But again, sometimes, like me, you get disillusioned, right? You kind of think, why is nothing happening, right? What are these crazy things that are going on? It's worse today than it was yesterday. But if you ask me, you guys know, if you've been with me for any length of time, I believe you have to make a mess to clean a mess sometimes. And that's a truth. Okay, what did the card say? Truth. We all fail in ourselves and in, oh my goodness, truth. We all fail in ourselves and in others. The truth is in the intent. And that's the truth, right? That is the truth. And, you know, sometimes we fail people. I know I fail people all the time, right? I hurt people. And It's not my intent. I am not that person. But sometimes in that disillusion, sometimes in that not having the answers, sometimes in feeling and seeing and experiencing the, could be gaslighting, could be the betrayal that's been in my life, a lot in my life, right? And sometimes it's seen by others, lots of times it's not. Sometimes it's just something I had to suck up, right? But there has been so much good in my life. And I am so grateful to be here in this moment to share my belief and my understanding and sharing that great news in finding my retirement property, right? It's a wait and see. You guys, it's pretty incredible. It is, right? I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, right? And I believe in that. And I have all that faith and I have all that knowing all tied up in that. And if I'm wrong, right, I'll take that. I'll take that, right? Because I am only human, right? But I have faith and I have belief, and you can't yank that away from me. And in that knowing of what I know, you guys, I know, right? Truth, we all fail in ourselves and in others. The truth is in the intent, right? The truth is in the intent, right? I apologize, and I'm not somebody who's afraid to apologize. I'm Canadian. We all apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Even sorry for those politenesses that we do, like holding people's door open and stuff like that. And if we forget and go, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. So, so sorry. They actually had to put a law in legislative, like it's a real law that it can't be used against us when we say sorry. Because lots of times when we get into car accidents and stuff, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's just in the hairy, scary, the moment. And it's just our nature, in our beautiful nature as Canadians, right? That we apologize. We're not necessarily apologizing because we're at fault. We're apologizing because, right, somebody didn't make it to school. We destroyed somebody's car. That, right, we put somebody in danger's way. But yeah, they put a law, and that can't be used in court. You can't sue anybody, right? Because it's not a form of admittance, whereas in other countries it is. Okay, you guys, that's my good cheer. Nice and short. I was pretty excited. I wasn't going to share that, but yeah, I just need that evidence because the date is here. This live show, this podcast is here, and when, not if, when I manifest it, I'm excited to show everybody as the evidence what can happen in your life if you truly believe, right? Okay, you guys. Have a great night. We'll see you Monday. Tomorrow's Saturday. I won't be online except to do some research on contractors and renovations and find out possibly if I can get my hands on that land behind that piece of property. Learn a little bit about the town, right? It's a beautiful town with beautiful 18th century houses, just really, really cute. Oh my goodness. And in the area next to that favorite park of mine, I'm sure there are other parks that are more amazing. But last year, this was my favorite park of all my parks, and I would be so grateful and so honored to live close to that park, but I could go camping in my new RV. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just get this property. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you Monday if you want to pop in on Sunday night. Thank you, Eugene, and thank you everybody who pop in right after work. Put your feet up, relax a little bit, be a little bit entertained tonight by Cindy, right? Have that little bit of curiosity because we have to be the evidence for each other, right? We are moving into a different world, right? With that little bit of help from President Trump, that maybe we can move into something a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more to what I'd like it to move into, and what a lot of souls would like to see it move into it because we live in a beautiful world, you guys. Right? We live in a beautiful world, and I'm not going anywhere. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you Monday.